Selection tool is a great way to pick certain areas that you want to change or alter. So there's a lot of ways why you would use the select tool. So if you wanted to darken or lighten a specific area, change the hue, change the color balance, the levels in those spaces, if you want to turn an area into black and white but leave the rest as is, color an area something different, lots and lots of reasons for this. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to use the selection tool and kind of all the options that you have with them. How to add, how to subtract, and how to invert. Okay, so once again, always make sure that you're making a copy of your original and that you are clicked on the actual copy, because everything you do happens on the layer that you are clicked on. So if you're not clicked on it, it's happening someplace else. So on this picture, I'm going to work on selecting these little openings in this plant thing that I have. So the selection tools are in the toolbar. Okay. When you click and hold, you'll see that you have a few different options. You have the lasso tool, polygonal lasso tool, and magnetic lasso tool. So the regular lasso tool is more freehand. So when you click and drag, you're able to just freehand draw in an area. The problem with that is our hands aren't always very steady. So you can see in this one that my drawing went off the edge a little bit. So that doesn't really make for very precise selections. But if you're trying to just select a general area, that works pretty well. Another lasso tool that we have is the polygonal. So with this one, you kind of click, 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 and you are making a polygon shape. To complete your shape, you want to make sure that you connect back to your original starting off point. So you can see when the 2 points meet, a little circle pops up next to the little icon. It's gone, now it's back. Okay, so then when you click, you have this really nice polygon shape. So that works well if the area that you're selecting is more geometric in nature. The last option is our magnetic lasso tool. And with this one, the icon has this little magnet. And this is the one I like to use the most because what happens when you click and start to paint or move the mouse around, it magnetically attaches to your edges. Okay, so I'm not being super precise with it. I'm going slowly around it, but it's just latching onto those edges. And then when I come back to the beginning, you'll see that circle pop up like that. To deselect an area that you may have selected, so maybe you did something and you changed your mind, up on the top on your options, you can click on select and then deselect, and then it gets rid of it. And then you can go and select what it is you want. So I'm going to go ahead and select this area down here. And let's say I want to make all of these openings do the same thing. So I want to select all of them all at once, so that way whatever action I do happens to all of them at once. So to add a selection to a selection that you've already made, you're going to press and hold the shift key. So when you hold the shift key, you'll see that there's a little plus sign that pops up next to that cursor icon. So now, if I want to go ahead and add that, draw, 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 and connect. And now both of them are selected. Let's do another one down here. Adding, adding, adding. That. And then let's do one more down here. So let's say that I got distracted by a friend and oh no, I ended up selecting far too much of what I wanted. As my hand moved, it jumped, something went awry. So what I can do is I can delete part of what I don't want. So to do that, I'm going to hold my Option key, and you can see that there's a little negative sign next to my cursor now. So when I click and kind of draw, and I'm kind of going beyond what I want to deselect because that's just automatically going to get rid of everything that's been selected and get rid of it. It's not going to add anything to it. Okay, so right now all those 4 areas are nicely selected. So from here, whatever action I do, so let's say I want to change my levels on it. When I do my levels, a new layer pops up, and you can see that the icon next to levels is pretty much blacked out, but there are some small areas of white. Those white areas are the areas that I selected. So those are the ones that are going to be affected. So now if I pump up the white, you can see that just those areas changed. Only the things that were selected become affected. Okay, so you can kind of play around with that and do different things with your selecting. So let's say, I will zoom out, that looks very lovely. So let's say you want to have an area stay the way it is, but it's a smaller area and you want to change everything around it. To go in and try to select everything but the one area is going to be really difficult. But what's nice about Photoshop is that you have a way to inverse it. So let's say that I want this pumpkin up here to stay the way it is. Just went ahead and selected it. Okay, so that's selected. Okay, so whatever I do to change it, say I change my levels, okay, just that area is getting changed. But that's not what I want. I want everything opposite it to be changed. So what I'll do, the one thing about Photoshop is once you click away and start to alter stuff, your selection kind of disappears. You might have to go over it a few times. So I have the area that I want to stay selected, but I'm going to go up to Select, Inverse, and what it does is it selects the opposite of what I had selected. So now you can see that that original line around the pumpkin was still there, but all of a sudden I have the line going around the outside of my image. So if I go and let's say I want to make things really blue, aquamarine color, okay, I can do that. And then everything but the pumpkin becomes changed. And you can see in the color balance, that white area in the icon on the layer is a lot larger now, and the pumpkin part is blacked out because that is not being affected anymore.